The home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. Whew. Just like that. Just like that, the season has went by. We're already 5 weeks into the football season, like Top Gun Maverick, the movie. This season has went by in a flash. What is that, like 40% of the season already? I'm not a math major, so don't call me out on it. But today I want to talk about the history of college football and how some teams need to heed it and read it and learn it before they start jumping off their team's bandwagon, before they start wanting to throw their coaches on the grill and whatnot. And then you have these other fans out there that are so gleefully and spastically happy at the demise of other teams because their team's winning. But what they don't realize is that most of these first-year head coaches, most of them that start off really fast, they end up not doing very well in the bigger picture of things. So basically, people need to pump their brakes just a little bit, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this thing that we call college football. Let's talk about it. Woo! Just like I said in the lead up, I can't believe already 5 weeks are gone already. But this is another episode of the OCF. That's me, the Outlaw of College Football, also known as JPC, which stands for what? That's right, Jesse Paul Clark on Facebook. Spelt Jesse without the I. Now, getting right to it. Today we're going to have a little history lesson for those teams that are gleefully spastic and celebrating victories over teams that have only 1 win, 0 wins, or at most 2 wins. Then we're going to talk about teams that are being a little unrealistic in their expectations because you got to do your history. Now let's go back and look at history. Let's start with all these first-year head coaches. That's the main topic today, is the first-year head coaches, notably USC and Oklahoma, and their little comparison and contrast they've been doing all year. Oklahoma, first of all, y'all need to chill out, man. Don't be letting these people run you off, man, just because they're talking smack. Most of the ones that's talking smack are going back and talking smack on videos that have nothing to do with what's going on right now. And they're throwing out shit like 55-19 at me. And I'm an Alabama fan. And I just come back with 52-6 because that's more recent. That just happened 3 or 4 years ago when we bitch slapped USC. I don't want to hear no excuses about who your coach was. I don't care. But let's do some history here, okay? For the Oklahoma fans that are jumping off the bandwagon, the ones that are unsubscribing to my channel, and I know I can't prove it, but it sure is funny that every single week that Oklahoma has lost, I've had some unsubscribers. And it's not USC like some people have been saying. It's not USC because why would USC unsubscribe? If they're winning, they can come in here and make fun of us, right? But here's the history lesson I'm trying to preach here today. Most first-year head coaches that end up winning national championships and doing stuff big picture down the road, winning national championships, winning conference championships, those coaches usually start out with a very bad first season and at best maybe an 8-5 or 7-6 year. Case in point, Nick Saban, 7-6 his first year, lost to UL Monroe here in Tuscaloosa to a team that was bussed in on school buses. We still get hell for that to this day. Bob Stoops, 7-5 his first year. Bear Bryant, in his first year at Alabama, he was 5-1. In his first year at Texas A&M, he was like, I think it was 1-10. We know what happened with Bear Bryant, right? Bear Bryant won 6 national championships at Alabama. What happened with Nick Saban? He's won 7 national championships. And LSU, he started out rather slow as well. I think he was like 8-5 or something. And you got some Oklahoma fans in here already like, One guy was like, let's just bring Bob Stoops in as the head coach and just demote Brent Venables down to defensive coordinator. I'm like, are you kidding me here? Really? Seriously? Y'all already want to give up on the man just because he lost a couple of games? I mean, do y'all not remember? Bob Stoops was basically the same way. Nick Saban, same thing at Alabama. He won his first 3 games at Alabama and ended up 7-6. See, I need to do your history. Now, these coaches that start out fast, let's look at them for a second. A little comparison and contrast with Tebow, old Linky Boy. First of all, Linky Boy had the advantage of a lot of first-year coaches didn't have. He was already coaching at a pretty well-known powerhouse program in Oklahoma and already had a lot of recruits that had recruited him based on him alone. That being Caleb Williams and Mario Williams and all the other jackasses that left with him. Most coaches ain't never had that opportunity until just now. And sooner or later they're going to get rules in place. I do feel like they're going to get another governing body. I think they're going to do away with the NCAA and have some kind of czar or some kind of system set up like the NFL where they can stop people from tampering like this. And if they don't, they'll get fined exceedingly or maybe even let go or fired, which was what needs to happen, because the way it went down with him, we all know that was some shady shit because he was doing it while he was still employed by Oklahoma. But first-year head coaches that have a good, fast start, most of them. Larry Coker, Miami, won national championship his first year. He ended up getting fired like 3 years later because he had back-to-back, 6 years? And Miami ain't recovered since. All right? Going even further back, Terry Bowden at Auburn. He started out 20-0. Now Terry Bowden, he was going at the end, I think. I can't remember exactly what he was going at. The thing with Auburn is it's a weird culture down there, and he rubbed some of the people the wrong way. But anyway, he started having seasons that weren't as great. I think he's like 8-4 or something like that. He ended up going to Akron and fizzling out there. And now, as you know, he's the head coach at UL Monroe. And he started out 20-0, right? Now, back more recently, Gus Malzahn of Auburn started out strong, big time, made it to the national championship game and lost to Jameis Winston in Florida State. Where's Gus Malzahn now? That's right, he's not at Auburn anymore. He's at Central Florida, middling around. Nothing special. So for you USC Skittle shooters out there, get a tent in your pants and think that, oh, gee, man, we can really start rubbing it in. I'd pump your brakes a little bit, man, because you ain't really looked that good against Oregon State or Arizona State, for that matter. And y'all still have yet to play the real heavyweights on your schedule. Washington lost to UCLA, but Washington's still a good team. Luckily, y'all don't have to play them. Oregon, I don't think y'all have to play Oregon either, do you? But you do play Utah, right? Yeah, and you play UCLA. You're playing Utah and UCLA, and UCLA's 5-0 right now. I'm still not really sure if I'm convinced about UCLA because I'm not really sure how great Washington was, because the one good team they beat was Michigan State. Michigan State sucks. But y'all are in for a rude awakening. See, the bad thing about what's happening with USC is that once Caleb Williams and all those players leave after this year, because they will exit early for the NFL, the bad thing about that is, for USC fans, is it lulls them into a sense of unrealistic expectations. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to expect this kind of year every year if they don't end up losing 3 or 4 games before it's over with anyway. So, I'm just saying, if you look at the history books, history says, and we all know the famous old cliche saying, history has a way of and tendency of repeating itself. And it will do that. And it's going to do that. I can almost guarantee it. Of course, there's always a chance that Brent Venables is not the man. And we'll find that out, but it won't be this year. You don't know what he's going to be this year. I mean, he's still having to weed out a lot of characters and getting his program instilled. And he's got a great recruiting class coming in. He's got a great recruiting class the year after that coming in. So pump your brakes, man, and quit being spineless about it and jumping off the bandwagon and talking about, oh, this is what needs to happen and he needs to be replaced. That's just feeding right into what these other people were saying all along and saying that, you know, you guys were going to turn on Brent Venables and all that shit. I just don't know how to close this out, man. I mean, it's just amazing that these fan bases never learn, man. Even my own fan base, Alabama, man, it's just like, when Nick Saban leaves, they'll probably be, hopefully they won't, but after Bear Bryant left, man, we went through so many coaches. By the way, Gene Stallings, who won a national championship at Alabama, his first season was 7-5 as well. So all I'm trying to get to you guys out there, the ones of y'all that are struggling with your team struggling, is you're going to have to give it some time if you want the real results. If you want instant gratification, sure, USC might make the playoffs this year because of all the players that Lincoln Riley was able to steal out of the transfer portal. But when they get embarrassed on national stage in front of everybody and then proceed to go down each year after those NIL players go out of his system, or transfer portal players, or whatever you want to call them, then we're going to see what Lincoln Riley really is all about. And he may end up being a good coach. But, like I said, from what history dictates, if he ends up having an extremely great first year, it's probably going to lend to fans being highly unrealistic going forward for USC. So just pump your brakes, because history is on Oklahoma's side. Oklahoma's been a national power for over 70 or 80 years. So let's just pump the brakes. And that's all I got to say about that. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. There's a little heart down here. Thanks button. Hit that. Throw a few dollars in the coffers if you can afford it. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.